Oh hey, it's Wes, and today it's time to talk about some more lens filters. My previous video on the K&F's new line of Nano-X filters, strangely popular. You guys are really into these. They have a new filter. Let's get into it. We're looking at the K&F Nano Filter No-X 2-400 variable neutral density filter. So we're cranking up the range on this from the old 2 to 6 stops all the way up to 2 to 9 stops. What does that do for us? Doesn't make anything any worse. Let's find out. Let's start with the categories, starting with the build and handling. Number 1, the box that it comes in is very nice. It's magnetic and cardboardy and all things fancy. Inside the box is another very nice carry pouch. It's leathery, not leather, and it has a little pull tab that releases and reveals our filter. Inside you have a filter that is kind of heavy, extremely rigid, has a lightly knurled design, but the entire filter itself has a nice matte finish that is easy to grip. Very nice. The throw is very smooth, nice solid construction, and as you can see, there is a rotation tab here that kind of matches Sony Alpha cameras. So, you know, that's important. One big issue though, there are no hard stops on this, which I feel like is becoming a thing of the past. Kind of a missed opportunity there for K&F. And last, very strange and particular issue that I have with this is that when you screw this in and off of your lens, the threads go in just a little bit deeper than most filters do. And so every time that it's a little deeper. Every time I'm putting it on and taking it off, especially when I'm going to take it off, you know, you get this muscle memory where you're turning it and you turn it a certain amount and you expect it to come off and then it doesn't. And then you try to turn it further and then you turn it further and just a little further and then it doesn't go and then a little and then it comes off. For some reason, I had no idea how reliant I was on this random muscle memory of when a lens filter is supposed to come off. This goes one step beyond that, which, I don't know. It's up to you whether you think that's an issue. I didn't take any points off for it, because maybe I'm just being weird. Overall, that's an 8 out of 10 for build quality and handling. It's a nice feeling filter, but doesn't have those hard stops, and that's a big deal these days. Because flaring and X pattern, our next test. Let's look at some video. Unfortunately, as you can see, this does not fare well in the flaring field, which is weird. Their old filters did better, especially their previous winner, the CPL plus VND, which was highly resistant to blobbing and flaring. That's unfortunate. I was expecting more. I guess we lost a little bit when we went with this extra range. X pattern resistance. As you can see, we are getting some X pattern darkening. It's not so much darkening as it is color shifting actually, which is interesting because we're going to talk about color accuracy later on. We have some interesting results there as well. And so about 2/3 of the way through the progression, you start to see it. Now, we are testing worst case scenario with a 16mm ultra wide lens. When you use a longer telephoto lens, or not even telephoto, but just a longer lens, you're going to see a lot less of this. But overall, 2/3 of the way in, starts to become a bit of an issue with the ultra wide lengths. So that's a bit of a disappointment right there. And the biggest issue here, going back to where we're talking about build quality and handling, there are no hard stops here. So if you're doing videography with this, and you're darkening things down, there's nothing that's going to stop you unless you're really keeping an eye on this from going over that line. And when you go over that line, things get really bad. I'm not going to show you that because it's past the line. It's up to you to not go past that line. Lens filters have had no hard stops for years, so it is our problem if we go past that line, but and so that's a handling problem. But as far as X pattern resistance problem, it is what it is already. So unfortunately, when compared to everything else, I can only give this a 4 out of 10 against, well, at least the modern lens filters for X pattern and flare resistance. It's just not amazing. All right, before we get into sharpness and a detailed test of the color accuracy, I want to tell you this video has been brought to you by me and my new t-shirts. You can buy them down at the link in the description. They come in many sizes, different colors, where you can go take some photos or go take some photos. Click the link to find out what that means. Also, please like and subscribe if you're watching this video. The vast majority of people who watch my videos are not subscribed, and that kind of hurts me as a channel. It also hurts me as a person. But if you could do that, it would do a great favor to me because I would like to be able to spend more time on the videos here. As it is, I can't spend a lot of time and it takes me a while to get through all of this real-world testing and lab testing. Also, if you want to buy into these products, or what ends up being my top pick for this category, there are links down in the description below to help support this channel and feed my fat cats. We're currently napping, unfortunately. There's one. Moving right on to sharpness. Now, I have to give you a caveat. I do not have any high megapixel, high resolution bodies. I can only test this on 24 megapixel body. I have found in the past that on the A7R4, I can see some degradation with these lenses at 61 megapixels. However, at 24 megapixels, there is almost no difference whatsoever in the sharpness. So you can take that as you will. Unfortunately, I'm not super helpful there. That's a 9 out of 10 at 24 megapixels. Moving on to something I can help you with, that is color accuracy. For methodology, we take a picture of the color checker and then we take it in the raw photo and we compare to the lens itself. The lens itself was an 85 G Master, which is the most color neutral lens I could find. If you look at this chart, it only varies by 1 out of 256 in the blue, so that's good. If you're using a variable neutral density filter, some people say, oh, just do a white balance. Doesn't matter what the color variation on it is. However, if you have some mix-ups in the RGB values, that's not something you can easily white balance away. So we're testing the white balance, but also individual RGB values. So let's have a closer look here. So on the K&F 2-400, we tested it both at the low polarization and the high polarization, just to see if there's a difference there. And oddly enough, there's a bit of an upset. On the highest polarization level, we're testing near the center. We see less color variation than at the lower, which is funny because we're already getting some blue X pattern in the corners, which is throwing off the colors at the edge of the frame. But in the center, it's actually more color accurate. That's weird. Same for the white balance. So the white balance, not too bad. It's fairly average for a variable neutral density filter. As well as the general RGB color cast, it's actually on the better end for a variable neutral density filter, but as you can see, compared to a solid or fixed ND filter, it does not compare well. Now, I had debated whether or not to include the variable filters with the fixed filters in this rating, but a lot of people still cross-shop them. And I need you to know that they are not the same thing, and you're not going to get as good color accuracy with these, no matter how nice they are. Comparing them all on the same scale, that gives us a total color and white balance accuracy of 5 out of 10. Not amazing, but actually decent for a VND. Moving right along to value. This is where we expect K&F to do a great job, so let's see. This filter right here is somewhere around $100 to $110. K&F's previous variable neutral density filter, this bad boy right here, comes in at $70. And they actually have an old version of a 2-400, which is 2 to 9 stop variable filter for $30. I cannot imagine that is very good quality at all. As I mentioned in a past video about K&F filters, they had some older filters. This is a set of their old K&F filters. And let me tell you, they were cheap, but they are garbage. K&F's new Nano-X filters are very respectable filters, but we'll talk more about that later on. So, this is a decent quality filter, not amazing, but good. 100 to 110 bucks. Let's compare that to some other VNDs. You have the Tiffin, very popular, 2 to 8 stop, pretty close, $170. Obviously it's more. Polar Pro 2 to 5 stop, $250, way more. You have the Freewell version, their own 2 to 5 stop, not a version of this, $110, about the same. You have a Hoya 1.5 to 9 stop, very similar, for $140. That's this one right here. I will tell you right now, it is worse. I didn't review it, but I've been using it as a benchmark, and unfortunately it does not hold up well. It is an older design, don't buy that. You have a Schneider 1.5 to 11.5 stop filter, $260, and then there is Moments 2 to 5 stop for $200. So, as far as a filter goes that can cover this range, it is a great value. As far as any variable neutral density filter goes, it's a great value. The only thing that really beats it for value, obviously, is K&F's own high quality, low cost, not top quality, but low cost, affordable Nano-X, No-X variable neutral density filter kits that are 70 bucks. We're talking about 82 millimeter filter fed size. The price varies depending on how big or small you go. So overall, I've got to give that a 9 out of 10 for value. It's a great feeling filter with great packaging, great presentation, and decent quality. It's a 9 out of 10 for that cost. So that gives it a total score of 35 out of 50. I have tightened up my reviews of variable neutral density filters again so that they compare more directly with fixed filters, and that has lowered the scores a little bit. You just have to know what you're getting into. Now, let's talk more about K&F's previous filters. I did a video on those. Again, a lot of people watched it, and judging from the comments, yes, they are good. However, there appears to be a fair amount of copy-to-copy variation, so if you do buy one of these filters, test it out, make sure you got a good one. Honestly, I'm not convinced that I got a good one of this one, but when it comes to a good value variable neutral density filter, I would still easily recommend the previous nano filters from K&F over this one. You're getting more range, but a lot of it is not useful because it starts Xing out. Whereas their CPL plus VND is still a phenomenal performer for the money. It's just really bulky. But their previous Nano-X, look at that. It's got hard stops. Their previous filter has hard stops. Performs better. Still doesn't perform as well as the CPL plus VND, but these both perform better, they cost less. I have links to all these down in the description if you want any of these things. If you have any questions about this, let me know down in the comments below and I'll get back to you. But until next time, I might end up using this case for something else. Go take some photos.